In this video, I'll break down the biggest opportunity cost week for me that I've had in a very long time. Luckily, I still managed to turn out green, but there was left a lot of money, a lot of R multiple on the table this week. I'll show you how me missing this opportunity led to losses and emotional decisions. I'll also show you the importance of R multiple. So again, just a very hard week with a lot of missed opportunity. It's one of them weeks where I know exactly what the market wants to do. I even call it out to all the STC members, but unfortunately was just not able to capitalize, and just very poor performance by me. And in this video, I'm breaking down exactly what happened. Now right here, we're looking at the first trade that I had placed for this week. This very trade was a winner. It was the first trade that I took this week. And in this video, you're also going to learn how important the R multiple factor of trading is. Now, this trade I took on the NASDAQ, and I used the S&P 500 as my main confluence for entering this trade. Okay, so I entered on the NASDAQ purely because of what the S&P 500 looked like at the time. And I'm going to explain why. So looking at the NASDAQ right around here, when the NASDAQ was sitting right around the 90s, the S&P 500 was all the way down here. Now notice how we created equal lows right before sweeping this external range liquidity low. Now I was heavily anticipating this low to get swept. It would be very weird if we didn't. So I felt like the probabilities were that we were going to sell off until this low. Now I took a short on the NASDAQ only because I knew that the S&P 500 will come down and sweep this low. Look how far the NASDAQ has to go to sweep this low, and look how close this low was to the current price of the S&P 500, right? So I actually shorted this market from the optimal trade entry of this very small range here. Now my entry was again the 0.618 Fibonacci. My stop always goes a bit below the high. The only rule if I'm entering off of optimal trade entry is that I have to include all three zones, right? My take profit was 69. So right there for about a 2.65 R trade. Now, let me play this out and show you exactly what ended up happening. So as you can see, I got filled to the T, and price eventually ended up hitting my take profit. And as you can see, I took it off just at the perfect time and before the reversal. As you can see, if I play it out a little bit more, it would have eventually hit my stop loss if I had not taken it off when I did. But I knew exactly when to take off this position, because when the S&P 500 swept this low, which it did right here at 1055, I hit my take profit at 69. So I had to take this position off. That was also a rule as soon as the S&P 500 swept this low, because at that point, the market has no reason to come down lower, and therefore I had to take it off. So that's exactly what I did. Now this trade resulted in $428 profit across 6 different accounts. So you do the math on that one. Now let's jump to the next trade, which was the very next day. And this was one of the positions where I had a lot of opportunity cost, right? I knew exactly what was going to happen, but I ended up just managing my position wrong. And that resulted in me earning no money from a trade that could have made me a lot of money. So let me break down that trade for you now, and let me tell you exactly what it does to your emotions when you manage a trade wrong. So it results in $0 made, but the trade ends up being absolutely right, and why you should not continue to trade if that happens to you. So this is exactly what it looked like coming into the morning here. The very next day, this was Tuesday. Now today's Wednesday. We have bank holiday tomorrow. So that is why I'm breaking it down now. We have NFP on Friday. So I'm breaking down the trades from yesterday and Monday, right? So this was the first trade of Tuesday, and I called this out to all the STC members inside of our private community. And basically what I saw was that we had a 1 hour inefficiency up here, and I was expecting a rebalance towards this very inefficiency before eventually moving lower, right? All I needed was some sort of confirmation that we were now going to sweep these equal highs that we have here and hit this hour 1 imbalance. I actually got that confirmation by this large displacement leg that shows me that we are ready to break the bearish structure and go for that hour 1 unmitigated imbalance. I said I'm going to be long from the low on the 1 minute chart inside of the 5 minute breaker block. So the annotated line here at 19,941 is the 5 minute breaker. I was long off of the low right there. So my entry was exactly like this. My stop was this low here at 806, and my target was obviously the hour 1 imbalance up there. So let me show you exactly how this trade played out. As you can see, this trade played out beautifully, but unfortunately I closed it right here at break even, and I'm going to tell you why. So a general rule that I have for myself is that I don't trade pre-market. Ideally, I want to wait till 9:30 when the market is open. All these stock traders are active. That's the market open, and that's ideally when I should be trading. Now, this trade was placed at 8:44 in the morning, so about 40 minutes prior to market open, 45 minutes, which really was not ideal. So I was already not following my rules in terms of time. Then we started to consolidate a little bit, right? I saw no follow through here, so I decided to take it off. And as you can see, the trade ended up playing out beautifully. Luckily, some of the members still caught it. But me, myself, I went break even on the position very fast. And unfortunately, I got stopped out and made zero money on it. And this could have been a huge winner. So big L on that. What I didn't know, though, is this was going to set me up for failure for the entire day. Because when you miss such a good play early on in the day, you, whether you want it or not, start to get emotionally involved. So because I had such a good trade that I missed out on early in the day, the trades that I took following was forced trades, right? Because of FOMO, right? Whether you want it or not, whether you're experienced or not, you will experience FOMO sometimes. So a general rule that I have for myself now is that if I miss a large play in the beginning of the day, I should just close my computer and not trade for that given day, because all the following trades that I'm going to be taking for that day are likely going to be very emotional trades, because I'm likely still emotionally attached to this play that I missed. So not going to be taking any trades if I miss a large opportunity like I did here, because again, I'm going to have a little bit of that FOMO, whether you like to admit it or not, whether you're experienced or not, is going to affect you somehow emotionally, right? And so nowadays I'm able to recognize this, and I'm not going to be trading anymore once I know that, okay, I missed a large play here, my emotions are likely involved. I'm just going to sit out for the rest of the day. So this was not a win in terms of money, but it was definitely a win because I learned something from this very trade. This right here was the same exact day. Now, this given day, Powell was speaking throughout the entire day, so it was really volatile. And I knew this. I don't have a problem with it usually at all. I think the market is going to go to where it wants, whether he's speaking or not. But when he is, it might just go there faster, which I have no problem with. So my entry here was actually off of this order block that overlapped with this imbalance, right? Now my stop was a bit below this high here, and my final take profit was this low down here. Now the reason my final take profit was this low down here is because it was a 5-minute imbalance, right? It was a significant swing low. We had also a swing low here, and if we run this low, chances are we're probably going to run this low anyway. Not only that, but it also, if I draw my Fibonacci extension tool for the entire range and I put on the premium discount, notice how this low overlaps with the equilibrium, or the 50% of the entire trading range, which is something that we'll likely rebalance to once we have pushed the price up into a certain premium level. So we will often rebalance to at least 50% of the trading range, and the low that I was monitoring just so happened to be overlapping with that 50%. So very nice and comfortable take profit there. As you can see, the trade got to about 2.2 R in profit. I was obviously break even on it at this point in time. Then I got stopped out break even for a loss, no partials taken. At this point in time, my emotions were really involved, right? And this is when I made the mistake, right? Because I had married the idea that the market now had to rebalance to 50% of the trading range. I had convinced myself that this is what it wanted to do. Now, obviously, the market is going to do exactly what it wants to do, and you can never really know. So what I did was I entered off of the entire range optimal trade entry here because it overlapped with this very high. And this high is the first high or second high that we made inside of an imbalance here. So I was expecting the market to sweep this high, hit optimal trade entry, and then rally down to that 50% level. So this right here is exactly what the trade looked like. My stop was this first internal range liquidity high, because if we run this high, we're likely going to run that high too. So I just saved myself a couple of bucks by putting it here instead of here. I get better risk to reward, etc. Right? Obviously, as you can see, the trade ended up being a losing trade, which is very unfortunate. And again, this was not a very good setup. It was not very clean. We had a lot of bullish displacement here. I should have known this. The only reason why I placed this was because I was emotionally involved, right? The first play of the day, I miss out on a huge opportunity. The second play of the day, I'm 2.2 R in profit. It ends up stopping me out, break even. I took no partials, zero money made. I'm very involved emotionally, right? And that is why I took this position, because I had married the idea that it was at least going to go to this low. Fast forward to today, which was also a very, very frustrating morning here at a little bit past 6 a.m. Now, as I said, I will not allow myself to trade pre-market or before 9:30 unless I have something to do in the AM session. Today, I went to look at an apartment that I may be looking into moving into here in the near future. So I didn't have the time to be trading the AM session, and that is when I will allow myself to trade the pre-market, right? So today I was here in the office early in the morning, and I found something that I really enjoyed. I was very confident where the market wanted to go, and it was this 2043 level here that I have annotated. Now, the reason for this is because it's an unmitigated 12-hour imbalance, meaning that price is likely going to come down here to fill the imbalance. I also called out to the STC members, so everybody understood where the market wanted to go from my point of view. Unfortunately, I just did not get to capitalize off of this exactly like yesterday. And this caused me to make another mistake. Anyway, let me show you exactly where my first sell limit of the morning was. And it was right here at optimal trade entry of this range. So my entry was 71. My stop was a bit prior to this high. And my TP was that 12-hour imbalance at 43. So about a 4-4 R multiple on this trade. Now let me show you exactly what happened. And as you can see, I got left behind by one tick. My sell limit was 20, 271. The market went to 20, 270, 75. So left behind for a 4.4 R trade by one single tick is not ideal, right? Very, very unlucky. This win would have been huge. Unfortunately, I got left behind by a single tick. This will happen. It's just very unfortunate when it does. But unfortunately, this morning it did. Luckily, I called it out to the private community. Some people hopefully made money towards that initial drawn liquidity. Anyway, this caused me to make another mistake, and what happened was I went on the higher time frame, the 1 hour time frame. I wanted to see this hour one imbalance hit, right? Now I also wanted to see this 4 hour imbalance hit right after the 12-hour gap was hit. So at 31.25, I called that out to the community as well, and as you can see, that is exactly where the market went. Unfortunately, I failed to capitalize on this too, and I'll tell you exactly why. I had a sell limit at this very high here. Down towards that 31.25 level. Unfortunately, though, we had news at 8:15 today, and because we were so close to the news here at 8:06, I was not comfortable entering shorts here. Unfortunately, it would have worked out perfectly, and again, that just added more to my emotional roller coaster. And I'll show you the mistake that I made for today. So as you can see, when the market came down here, we got very close to that annotated 1 hour imbalance at 2203.75. Now, what I did here is at this point in time, my emotions were way too involved, right? So I actually took a trade off of this very, very short-term optimal trade entry, which is just embarrassing, right? Because this is what a terrible setup. But again, I was chasing this market because I had missed so much opportunity, right? Just this morning alone, I had probably left about 7 R on the table. That combined with yesterday, again, just an emotional roller coaster. And as you can see, I end up getting stopped out. Very, very unfortunate. Again, made a lot of mistakes, but the only real mistake that I made was continuing to trade after missing such huge opportunity in the market, because it's just impossible not to have your emotions involved if you've missed or left behind a total of 12, 14 Rs in the past 2 days, right? Your emotions are going to be involved, which is exactly what they were for me here today and yesterday. So I learned from my mistakes. So I can only look at these days as winning days, even though they obviously weren't. But again, the win I had on Monday was enough to cover these 2 losses alone and still let me come out of the week green, right? And that's kind of my point about R multiple. I have 1 winner. That means I can have about 3 losers, right? So still green on the week. And I just learned a lot of stuff here, right? Had unfortunate break-even trades, got left behind, managed my trades poorly, and I just left a lot of money on the table this week. Unfortunately, there's not a lot I can do except just learn from my mistakes, which is what I've tried to do here, and I come on YouTube to try and explain to all of you exactly what mistakes I make, so you guys can learn from my mistakes too, and hopefully avoid making the same mistakes that I make sometimes in the future, right? That's what the whole point of this channel is, to help you guys become whatever traders it is that you want to become. And one way of doing so is by avoiding the mistakes that I make, because I've been doing this for a very long time. So the mistakes that I'm making, you are likely making too. Thank you a lot for watching. I hope this shows some transparency, and I hope you learned something from this this video. And if you want more of these trade breakdowns, please let me know. I find them very valuable. I like just recording them myself, because I get to look at my mistakes all the time. And that makes me learn from them even more. I can look over the YouTube video once I'm done recording and learn from my mistakes over and over and over again. So very beneficial for me, and I hope it is for you as well. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.